10 years old to about 20 years old, I had been boxing, and that was the majority of my training, and that was my understanding of what training was the type of boxing training I would do. The high intensity, like cardio type training or circuit training, and pushing hard for a short period of time and then having a short rest or whatever, and then going back, pushing hard or whatever. Doing that was like my version of training. I only started going into the gym and doing weightlifting when I properly finished competing in amateur boxing, and that was at the age of about 20 or whatever. So I've been going to the gym and learning slowly but surely throughout time for the past 3 years. And at the beginning of when I first started going to the gym, all I did was show up, do certain movements. I already had an idea of how to work certain muscles. I kind of got the gist of it because I had trained, at least some of the muscles in general when I went to boxing training when I was younger. So, the understanding got better and better as years went past. As compared to like now, because this video is about how I went from 70 kgs to 90 kgs, and there'll be two different examples in the thumbnail of what I was at 70 kgs when I was competing or freshly after competing in boxing, and then 90 kgs about years later and stuff. And the stuff that I gathered throughout the time is what I'll explain in this video. One of the most important things that I found when it came to the journey of going to the gym and building a bigger physique or just stronger or whatever, getting progress and putting on weights and stuff, because I always struggle with that. The first things that come to my mind that I've made the biggest difference is recording everything down. So when you record your PRs, you record what exercises you do, like I highly suggest, like get your notes app out, write down your gym split. So like, we'll talk about gym splits later on, but you write down your gym split, like what days, on Monday you're doing this, on Tuesday you're doing this, on Wednesday you're doing this, on Thursday this happens, on Friday this happens, and you write down each day, Saturday, Sunday, whatever. You write down your rest days, you write down all that sort of stuff, and you have like a list and a log of everything that you do, from your exercises to how many reps you're trying to target to the weight that your max is, because sometimes like what I used to remember is I would struggle with obviously remembering. So I get to a machine, right? And I do the machine all the time. And I'd be like, damn, it's been a bit. What was my PR again? What was my max weight? And I always forget it. And it's harder to keep going or progressively overloading. Progressive overload is when you just basically constantly up the weight or up the reps or up the sets to then make it more challenging, and you go up in levels, right? So let's say you're trying to target 8 reps per set or whatever, and you target that and you get it. You bump it up to 10, and then eventually when that becomes easy, you bump it up to 12 or whatever. It does depend on the goal or the type of physique that you want. It depends on what kind of goal you should revolve that around. But so it's harder to progressive overload if you can't even remember what your hardest thing was, how many sets you're doing that thing, how many reps you're doing, and what your max weight is. The weight that makes you struggle when you get to that 8th rep or 10th rep or whatever. They usually like to, what I hear the best way to go about it, to measure it, is you kind of want to do at least 3 sets, 2 to 3 sets, depending on how you go about it. So you can do 2 sets to failure on an exercise, or you can do 3 reps kind of, pushing, and in the last set, you're pushing to failure and everything, you're going your hardest. And if you give a rep range of 8 to 12 reps, if you get to failure means on that hardest weight, because you have to figure that out when you first begin going to the gym and everything, you kind of have to figure out what your hardest weight is. So slowly just go up and set a goal of getting to 8 reps or whatever, or between 8 to 10, right? And you put like, let's say hypothetically you put on like a 20 kg weight or whatever, and you're pushing. Let's say you're doing bench press. You're pushing the weight up and down, up and down, up and down. And then when you get to 6, you start struggling and you go, shit, 7, and then you get to 8 and you're fucking and you're really struggling to push that up. That is you going to failure. Obviously on the bench press, you kind of need someone to be there to help you out, lift the bar up, just in case you like hurt yourself or whatever, and drop it. But that's what failure is. So that's once you get to that 8 reps. So let's say you got to like 9 or 10 reps or whatever. Or what I like to do is if I get to 12, then that's when I bump up the weight. That's when I progressively overload to the next hardest weight that I can do. How I do it is, let's say I'm doing a push day, right? Push day, so push movements. You're pushing the weight away from your body. Push forward, you're targeting your chest and everything. Push upwards, you're targeting your shoulders and stuff. You push downwards, you're doing like triceps and everything like that. Depending on how you do these movements, you can target other muscles too. And it can be kind of versatile as well. You kind of want to target each muscle group at least twice per session. But what I do is, like, if I'm doing a push day, I'll do 3 chest exercises, which will be a push movement. So I'll do like an incline dumbbell press, boom. I'll do that as my first exercise. It could be like 3 sets, whatever, 8 to 12 reps on my max weight. whatever, right? And I'm writing it down, I'm keeping track of all this stuff. And then I'll do a chest fly. I'll do a chest fly, and I like to go low to high chest flies. Boom, because it kind of targets multiple parts of the muscle group. And then I like to do dips. So I'll do dips till failure, maybe like 2 sets till failure. And then I'll do 2 arm exercises. So if it's a push day, you want to target your tricep muscle, and you want to push down and do all that. So you'll realize and you'll learn, if you're just beginning at the gym and everything, so if you're doing a pull day or whatever, you're pulling the weight you're pulling towards you, right? And then that activates your back, activates a bit of your biceps, activates a bit of your, it could activate a bit of your traps if you do it in a certain way. So when you do pull movements, so like pull day is mainly like a back, bicep, a little bit of trap day if you want to do some shrugs and shit, right? So all of this is like learning and all new to certain people, right? If I do a pull day, I want to do 3 back exercises, and you'll learn how to fucking optimize the muscle groups and shit with certain exercises and make it optimal and shit. You'll learn that as you go. But I'll do 3 back exercises, I'll do 2 bicep exercises, and I'll do 1 trap exercise. Because I've learned throughout time that if I'm pushing using my shoulders and my traps and shit like that, they're more likely to get injured and everything like that. So I will only do 1 kind of till failure when it comes to that muscle group. Yeah, the chest and the back are kind of like big muscles. They're big muscle groups, so you want to do more exercises for those particular muscles. The biceps and the triceps, they're a little bit less exercises, and I feel like you can go till failure and really optimize like pushing them. And they also get used when you're doing push movements with your chest, your triceps get activated, and also you're doing dips, all that sort of stuff, triceps, a little bit of your lower chest get activated. When you're doing bicep, when you're doing back day and everything, when you're pulling the weight, a little bit of your bicep gets activated. So when you're, you could get away with doing 1 proper intense bicep exercise till failure, and do that for a couple of sets, and that will be all good. You won't have to do any other. But I like to do 3, 2, 1 as a rule of thumb, right? And all up, that'll be about 6 exercises, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. And that gives you about an hour worth of training time. Hour 15 max. If you're a beginner, do push-pull legs, right? Do push-pull legs, Monday push, Tuesday pull, Wednesday legs, and you do about 6 exercises altogether in each day. Actually, on leg day you do about 5, but anyway, I'll get to that. You want to do 3 for your back and or your chest when you're doing that day, 2 for your arm, and 1 for your trap or shoulders, whatever. And when you recorded that shit, it's just easy to do your progressive overload and remember what you did last time. And then you realize you're like, shit, it gets motivating as well, because you're like, fuck, every time you bump up or get stronger or beat a weight or get to that rep range you said you were gonna get to, record it down in your notes in your phone. Always have that there. And always remember like what exercises you want to do as well. So you write down, and if you don't know what an exercise is, like if it says, like let's say you go on ChatGPT and you ask ChatGPT, hey, can you give me a gym split for my goals or whatever? And you tell it your goals or whatever, and it'll give you like a push-pull leg split or whatever the fuck. And then it tells you certain exercise. If you don't know an exercise, Google it or use ChatGPT or use YouTube. Use all the tools that you have on the internet. Look at a video, go into the gym, don't worry about anyone looking at you, and try and do the movement, all right? That's the only way you're gonna learn and get better at it, is if you practice that movement. You look at someone doing it, you practice doing it a similar way, focus on the muscle that is trying to target, and try your best to do it. It's gonna feel awkward at first, but it will get better as time goes on, right? Another thing that made a big game changer with my progress is creatine. I only found out about creatine probably way after everyone else, and because I'm not a gym person, I'm not a gym bro or whatever, but I slowly started learning as I went along. In about 4 days, I realized the benefits that it had given me. I was way stronger. PRs were just fucking, like, I plateaued and got a certain amount of strength and I was getting certain amount of numbers, you know what I mean? With the bench press or with anything, bicep curls or whatever. And then I started taking creatine, and then within 4 days of taking, like, I think it was only 1 scoop a day for about 4 days. 4th day, I started hitting PRs and stuff on the bench press. Started hitting PRs on shoulder press, on all this, because my body was stronger, and it was so like motivating and exhilarating as well, because I was like, fuck, like I got all that progress, you know what I mean? Like it was pretty cool. So having that plateau for a long period of time, and then having creatine to kind of break past that window or that barrier, right? And what creatine does is it kind of enhances your performance in the training, so that you can push more, so that you can, get past plateaus and stuff like that. And when you get past plateaus, you're gonna build more muscle and everything. Like, it's not a thing where when you jump off creatine or your gains go away. Like, you can still keep up your gains. It's just helped you kind of go up past that level that you needed to get to, and go up step by step by step by step. It enhances your performance in the gym so you can get the most out of your workouts. It's really good. Holds water in your muscles and shit. Creatine is already in animal products like beef and chicken and shit like that, and protein foods. There's already creatine in these foods that you already eat. It's just kind of in a powdered form so that you get more creatine in a shorter period of time. And it's got no health effects. It's been studied a lot. And as far as I know, as far as I've experienced with myself, I feel like it's really, really good. The only thing you need to watch out for is if you intake too much in a short period of time, you'll realize how your body feels. You might get like a sore stomach, and you might get like fucking a little bit of constipation and shit like that, you know? Be careful with that. But you'll realize and you'll learn how much you can take and shit, and if you can handle it and everything, stomach pains will go away and you can fucking take it like normal and stuff like that, you know? So for me, I took about 5 to 10 grams of creatine per day, and the reason why I'd sometimes take 10 is sometimes I'll forget whether I fucking took it that day, so I just take another scoop. I don't really care. And that would help me out with my performance at the gym, progress in general, and yeah. So like you could take a scoop in the morning and a scoop at night, and sometimes if you don't know if you have one in the morning, just have one at night time, just to keep up the cycle and just to keep up like building up that creatine in the system. So over time, what happens is that creatine gets stored away, and some of it gets flushed out when you're peeing and everything. Oh, and that's another thing. Make sure you drink a lot of water when you take creatine, right? Make sure you drink a lot of water, and some of it gets flushed out when you are peeing and everything. When I'm training, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm training, I'm sipping water after every break. And I think that's just a habit from boxing. Like after every break, after we finish doing a hard round or whatever, we're fucking addicted to that water. That water is our best friend. Cold water, especially in the heat, you're sweating, your fucking chest is sore, your arms are sore from trying to keep your arms up in the boxing ring or whatever. And you go to that water, that cold water, and that's your best friend, your lifesaver. So drink lots of water when you have creatine, okay? It's one of the best things. When it comes to food and diet and stuff, just cook at home. Cook all your meals at home. Keep it simple. Cook rice, get a rice cooker, you know, go to your cheap place that you can buy a rice cooker from. In New Zealand, there's a place called Kmart. Go to Kmart, get a rice cooker, cheap as, use that shit. Cook your rice, you know, cook pasta, make beef, cook fish, chicken, all that sort of shit, whatever you like. Me personally, I'll cook beef. I like beef more than any other kind of protein meat, and I'll just stick to that. Cook it up when you're ready. Put a sauce in there if you want to. Put some spices and whatever kind of things you want, peppers and stuff in there if you want. Make it taste nice and appealing, because if it doesn't taste nice, then you're not gonna fucking eat it. So yeah, what I would always make, or what I make now, is I have whole grain pasta. That's what I have. 500 grams of whole grain pasta. Get this like specific one from Pack and Save in New Zealand. And I get 500 grams of premium beef mince. It's called Kiwi to the Bone beef mince. And I get 250 grams of Edam cheese. And I just have salt and pepper. That's all I have in the dish. So that cheese is kind of just to help it, like, that's just like its sauce. So I put a whole 250 grams of block of cheese. Oh, and I put 1 brown onion, and I put 1 carrot in there as well. So I shred up the carrot, I chop up the onion, I fucking boil up the pasta, you know, cook the beef, everything like that, and I put it all together in a batch, and I put it away in a couple of containers, and that's like my food for like that day or whatever. 3 whole meals of fucking pasta, beef, and carrot, onion, all that sort of shit. Yeah, like what I've learned recently as well is that, especially when I do, because my job at the moment, my full-time job is I do shift work. So every fortnight or every 2 weeks, we get a different roster, and it can be different every week. So one week we could be doing early mornings. The next week we could be doing afternoon shifts. The next week after that we go back to mornings. The week after that we could be early mornings again. And then the week after that we could be doing late nights or night shifts or whatever. So not really night shifts, but late nights. And it kind of varies, right? So your body has to adjust sleep-wise. And I've kind of figured out what works for me. If I'm doing early mornings, I'm probably not gonna get much sleep. But if I'm doing afternoons or lates, then I can sleep for longer in bed and everything. So the thing that I've learnt is sometimes we can kind of adapt our gym split depending on our schedule, and depending on what your work schedule is, or your uni schedule, or whatever you do, you don't actually have to go to the gym 6 days a week for you to make great progress. You can literally go to the gym 3 days a week and make great progress, or 4 days a week, whatever. And those less days that you do go, you can put that into other things that will then benefit you as well. You can do it into your content, you can do it into the podcast you want to do, you can do it into like your music career or whatever the fuck you want to do, whatever the hell. When it comes to your sleep, I like to, if I have afternoon shifts and stuff, I'll try my best to get 10 hours in bed, and that will help me with getting enough rest during that time frame. And that helped me out definitely when it came to like my mood, my fucking focus, my motivation to do things, and my gym performance as well. Gym performance is everything. All these things aid and help your gym performance. When it came to supplements and stuff, supplements that I would take to get to this kind of weight, the 90 kgs, the big fucking Hulk smash, was
fish oil tablets to help with like testosterone and like your heart health and your like organs and shit like that. And then also, and your brain and stuff. I also took magnesium before bed to help with recovery and sleep. Magnesium's fucking goated for like having a deep sleep. Then also I took a men's multivitamin to kind of fill up the gaps when it came to my diet and stuff. So my testosterone hopefully felt like it was high. I didn't get a blood test or anything, but it felt like it was optimal and shit. Those are the supplements I took. That is the fucking key to getting to like a big size, building your muscle, making a lot of progress in the gym, to be a big man, big man.